Hi YouTube, it's ACDodd here again. Welcome to another episode of On The Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. And today I've got a couple of cars from MLMotorsport, and I've also got a nice Vanden Plas Metro. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so here we are, back at MLMotorsport in Higham to do a few more cars for tuning. And we've got a lovely 998 Auto. It's a late model one. Under the bonnet, the ubiquitous mean powerhouse of a 998 A+. So, what do we find under the bonnet? I've just got this one in. We're going to go and speak to the owner in a second. But in terms of what I've just gleaned, it looks like we've got quite an old Dizzy, but we have got electronic ignition. We've got a new Viper coil. We've got some BP5 spark plugs. And we got a single HS4 SU. There is an air filter, it's just off at the moment because I've just started looking at this one. So let's go and speak to the owner and see why he's brought it in for a tune. Okay, so this is Paul.
Hiya.
Paul's the owner of this nice red Auto Mini. So why have you brought it down today?
Just I've had it for a year and I kind of don't know anything about engines and how they work and stuff, and I want to learn, and you're the guy to come to for engine tuning, and I want to make sure it's running well and it's doing good.
That's a bit worried now. A lot of people telling me that, so I need to take that on board. Anyway, any particular running problems?
I don't think so. It seems to be running quite well. Obviously an automatic, it seems a little bit down on power sometimes, but other than that, all good, I think.
Right.
I think.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, let's dig in and see what we can find.
Right.
Okay, so we've got 1.5 ohm coil fitted. We've got a new set of BP 5 ES spark plugs, capped at 25 thou. New set of HT leads, and we've done all that to drop the inline resistance. The distributor's fine. We've got a good advanced curve. The vacuum's working, so we're now going to turn our attention to the carburetor. But before we do, I'll just show you the plugs that came out of it. So, if you've got spark plugs and you take them out of your standard car and they look like that, that's telling you something. A, it's too rich, and B, it needs a tune. So, when you see that, new set of plugs, and then lean off the mix, and then carry out a proper tune-up before you drive that car further. Okay, so this little Auto had somebody's fitted a stage 1 kit to it, but left in the standard needle. So as usual, somebody had wound up the mixture to try and make it work properly, but caused a lot of issues, black plugs, high fuel consumption, etc. So what I've done is I've replaced the needle with an AAE needle, and then this needle itself needs a little bit of modification from 4 to 5,000 RPM and a little bit of progression. So as I say, just because you fit a stage 1 kit, you've obviously got to make sure that the needle is able to fuel that combination properly, and in this case with the standard needle, that was woefully short. So this will solve that problem, and hopefully we can go straight to a test drive. Okay, so we got this one done as much as we can today. As I said, we've already gone through the ignition system. Got an AAE needle. It had to have some modifications to 4 and 5,000 RPM and progression. I've drilled the airbox just to get a bit more airflow. We'll also notice we've got a problem potentially with the kick-down rod. Although we haven't got time to fix that today. That's another area that needs looking at. And we've also found there's some leaks on the manifold. So this one needs to come back for having those issues fixed. And also the carburetor itself is a little bit warm. So we've advised the customer to fit a new rebuilt one of those in the future. But for today, she's ready to go. Okay, so this little Auto's been out. You've been out for a test drive?
Absolutely, yeah.
What's it like?
It just picks up really, really quickly. It's kind of chalk and cheese from what it was beforehand.
I think
it's really quite amazing.
You're generally quite surprised, I think.
I am, yes. I am very surprised. I didn't think it was going to make that much of a difference, and it really has.
Yeah.
Really noticeable.
Okay, excellent. So would you recommend this to anyone else?
Totally, absolutely.
Wonderful.
100%.
Thank you very much for bringing it
Thank
down
you.
and letting me make such a positive difference to it.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so this one, it's a G-Reg. Nice little road car. under the bonnet beats the heart of a fresh MLMotorsport engine. 1293 cc. We've got an RS camshaft. That's an ACDodd RS cam. There is a modified head on there, but I don't know. We don't know whose head it is. But effectively, this has just had a bit in the middle, so a block rebuild, and all the original bits put back on. So what we're going to do today is to set this one up and make sure she's ready to roll. Okay, so quickly got into this one, and I soon found out that our distributor is not happy. So why is it not happy? Well, its advance curve is way too long. So we got 10 degrees static, and we got 43 degrees at the crankshaft at full in. So and that's without the vacuum. So that needs to be exchanged for a different one. Now, as I turn it round, some strange things come into occurrence. One of which is we've got the clamp on the bottom for a 45D, and then when we look at the bottom, we can see that what somebody's done is change the drive dog on the end, and the shaft is too long for the application, so they've just pushed it straight back in the engine with all that play. So yeah, not the best way to do things. So we're going to change this whole unit for a 65D. And change it for a high power setup. So we're going to change the coil from a 1.4 ohm, which it is now, down to a 0.8. Regap the spark plugs and give this a modern ignition system. Right, so got this one back running again. We've got the high power 0.8 ohm coil on. We've now got an ACDodd recurved Power Spark 65D new unit. We've got the original spark plugs. I've just regapped them. They're up to 35 thou using the original leads. This is now running with a bypass wire as well, so that's that all sorted. Turning our attention to the carburetor, we found that it was running very lean because Andy had set this up because it was a new engine, so it was running nice and lean. So it had a BJ needler, so we removed that. I've put in a yellow spring and a BBA needle, and the fueling's pretty good, but we're just a little bit lean at 4,000 and 5,000 RPM. So we're just going to give that a tweak, and then I'm also going to tweak the top end of the needle by a few thou as well, just to make sure there's plenty of fuel in at full bore, because this engine has got a modified head to go with a camshaft, so it's going to need a bit of fuel to feed that. Let's get that done and see how it drives. Okay, so we got this one all dialed in. Just a quick overview again. New ACDodd 65D distributor, which is Power Spark, but I've recurved it. 0.8 ohm coil. Rig out the spark plugs, use the existing ones, and then moving on to the carburetor. I left the damper and the oil alone, but we fitted a yellow spring and a BBA needle. The needle needed some modifications, and quite a few modifications to get that one to work well, but work well it does. So there's no test drive by the customer, because this one is a customer of MLMotorsport, so Andy's driven it and assures me it runs very strong indeed. So with that, my work here is done. Okay, so here we are, Esher. Some of you might recognise this one from the show circuit. This is a 83 Metro Vanden Plas, complete with its awesome brown interior, its lovely walnut door cappings. I remember having one of these myself, and it was a lovely vehicle. Let's have a look under the bonnet. So under the bonnet, we've got a rebuilt engine. So that's the original engine that's been rebuilt. So this is a 1293 engine. The only modifications are the fitment of a 266 Kent cam, and it's had the head change for a later head from an MG Metro with the 35.7 intake. So for all intents and purposes, the owner has basically taken it from the standard 63 horse engine and attempted to bring it up to the MG Metro spec engine. So the first thing we can notice on here is we've got the standard airbox, so that's going to have to disappear, because unfortunately that will stop this engine producing the maximum power. So we need to do something with that to increase its airflow. Quick look under there shows we've got a 12 volt coil, which isn't right for the year. We've also got a decelerant ignition. So let's go and have a chat with the owner and see why he's called us down. Okay, so this is Steve. Steve's the owner of this gorgeous Vanden Plas. So why have you called us down today, Steve?
Well, I absolutely love Fruity. This is definitely his name. Fruity by name, Fruity by nature. I've had him for 12 years. Used him a lot on various continental trips and things. Where things go wrong, I then try to improve and improve the spec.
Yeah.
But I've got to a point now where the engine, having had the rebore and the Kent cam and the MG Metro head, I'm sure there's more performance that can be unlocked, and AC's the guy to do it. We've still got so much of the original there from the factory when it was 62, 63 brake horsepower. Want to loosen up a bit more.
Okay, all right. So are there any driving issues that it's got now? Has it got any flat spots?
Sometimes has a bit of a hiccup, don't we all? But yeah, sometimes under load there'll be a bit of a hesitation, which is frustrating.
Okay.
And I've got the impression that the engine's running a bit rich, because the choke goes in within a quarter of a mile and stays in. So
okay. Well, let's dig in and see what we can find.
Fantastic.
One question I've got for you, because you say this one's just turned over 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
So does the car stall when you pull up to the traffic lights?
No.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So let's dig in and see what we can find.
Excellent.
Okay, so digging into this Vanden Plas, as you can see, I've already got the distributor out, spark plugs are out, and I'm just about to start taking the coil out. But let's go and have a look at the plugs. Okay, so plugs look good on first glance. However, they all look clean, so the mixture's not too bad on this one. But the interesting thing is they're all slightly different in terms of how it's burning. So that one there, for example, is not the same as that one or that one, and perhaps not quite the same as the first one either. So when you see spark plugs like that's good, but there's different burning happening on each cylinder. Now number 3 looks particularly lean on the very tip, so I think what we've got going on here is a little bit of a potentially ignition power issue. And when you look at the ignition system, I've checked the coil and it is actually the right one, so it's a 1.5 ohm coil, but our gaps are at 35 thou, so that's probably going to clear up some of the variation we got on those cylinders. So we'll get the new set of plugs at 35 thou, because what we're now going to do is change the ignition system for a high power type. So we're going to change it from the Ducelia distributor that's in there to a Lucas, a Power Spark Lucas 59D with a high power module, variable dwell, and we're going to put a 0.8 ohm coil on it. So why are we doing that, you might ask? And the reason why we're doing that is the Ducelia distributor that come out of the car has actually seized. So we've got no mechanical advance at all on there. So that basically means that this engine would have been quite flat in the way it's running. So we'll get that new ignition system put in. We're also going to change the HT leads, because the ones on it were sort of anywhere between 6.5 and 8.5k. So we're going to reduce that down to about 3k between the coil and the plug. We also add resistor plugs in, so we'll change that, and that will transform the ignition system. So it's basically change the whole ignition system for a much higher power system, and this should wake the engine up, and then we can go on and do the carb tuning. Okay, so engine's back running. Yeah, we can hear the cooling fans running, so we're up to temperature. So what we got? We've got 0.8 ohm coil fitted. We've got a 59D high power with a ACDodd advanced curve. We've now got Power Spark leads, low resistance of course, so these are running between 1.5 and 2k per lead. We've got a set of NGK BP6ES spark plugs capped at 35 thou. Engine is already running smoother, which the owners noticed as well. So we now turn our attention to the carburetor. Okay, so one of the problems we got with this engine is this very restricted air filter. So in terms of the modifications, where they fitted a Kent 266 cam, that's a good cam, and a standard big valve head, we need to unplug this now. So owner's given me permission to drill the airbox. Now the good news is it's got a K&N filter in it, which is excellent. So what I'm just going to do now is drill around the periphery, get us a bit more air, and then finish off the needle tuning. I'm nearly there now. So it's got a BDR needle in it, I think the people who rebuilt the engine put that in, which is actually good, actually, because it's quite lean at part throttle. And obviously plenty rich when you put your foot down. So I'm not going to touch the top end of the needle on this one. I'm just going to dial the needle in so it fuels properly all the way across the rev range. But obviously I've got to make it work with this air filter, so that's what I'm going to do now. Right, so I've got the airbox and I've Swiss cheesed it. Now that's usually enough to take more than a point off the AFR ratio, so and I think this is what's going to be needed on this one to really make it pick up its skirt and go. So let's get this back on and get that needle dialed in, and then we'll send the owner out for a spin. Okay, so our tune-up work's finished. You can see the fans running again. But this tune-up has really woken this engine up, so let's let Steve go out in it and see what he thinks. Okay, so Steve's now been out in his car for a test drive. A huge smile. So what's it like, Steve?
I found that the traffic in the local area has slowed down a lot. It's amazing. The difference. I've heard night and day chalk and cheese. It's all absolutely right. It's quite amazing. And my only disappointment is I should have done this years ago. So AC, thank you so much for what you've done. You really are an engine whisperer.
Well, thank you very much for that. High praise indeed. So need I say, but the car's more powerful?
Definitely.
Smoother?
Definitely. It's even at idle,
yeah.
And bearing in mind we've got a bit of a funky cam going on there. It's smoother, and I think it's really a sort of split personality now. So bumbling around feels exactly as it did before, but you drop a gear or two and you wake up the beast. and sort of fruity is now rorty. Yeah. But with an effect, because you are then suddenly going along much faster than before. Okay. So it's yeah. In the 12 years I've had the car, he's never behaved like that before. Wonderful. And I can't wait to do the next one-day tour tomorrow, and then 2.5 weeks at the end of the month, and Spain, France, Monte Carlo. Oh, wonderful! All those trips you've got on the go. So wait. It would be interesting actually if you could, is to plot your MPG, because I'm sure it'd be nice for some of the readers might be interested to see what that is that you're getting out of it now it's been tuned, and especially as you're an individual that goes on long trips, so that would be ideal. Yeah, well, it's clearly behaving very well. The analyzer was showing how clear and clean the petrol and air mix is right up the rev range, and it goes like stink. So if you haven't spoken to AC before and you've got an A series engine, whatever the car is, why are you waiting? This is unbelievable. Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's all right. Well, I needn't ask you any more questions, so thank you very much. And thanks for giving me a chance to come down and work on your lovely car. No, thanks are all mine. Just, yeah, do it, folks. Get AC to your door. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Particularly good feedback there from Steve on his Metro, which was excellent. I can report that he's already given me some MPG figures, and he's typically before the tune he was sort of mid to late 30s on MPG on a run, and now he's already reporting 45, so he may even get higher than that when he does his long run over to Europe. So we shall see, and I shall update the comments below this video with his latest figures. Anyway, as ever, please like and subscribe, and if you do have a car and MPG is something that you're interested in, then obviously having a proper tune-up will maximise the miles per gallon that's possible out of your car. And if you do long trips like Steve there in his Metro, you know, a good tune-up is more than worth it, because you'll save that in fuel. Anyway, as ever, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.